Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to El Boricua y el Parcero podcast, episode 65. How are we doing this week? A lot of stuff to get to. New format. This is a Monday. You guys will get this tomorrow. And then you'll get one Thursday. So we're doing it a little bit different. We're adding a little bit more content for you guys. I'm gonna be more active on the Instagram, El Boricua y el Parcero podcast on Instagram, on the TikTok as well. On my personal TikTok, I'll be active on there, so we can get into this. Starting off with a couple pointers. Brandon Staley, Tom Telesco, and the Chargers fired. Like I said, after that loss last week, I expected him to be, fired pretty quickly. It was just embarrassing, especially to the Raiders. We'll get into it. We'll get into that game, but 63-14. I mean, they gave up on him. Okay, they gave up on him. Another thing, Bradley Beal hurt again. Comes back for 4 minutes. Hurts his ankle. He's out for 3 or 4 weeks. So it's just going to be the Durant and Booker show still. Other than that, let's... one more thing. I have said repeatedly that in today's NFL, especially if you have a good to great quarterback, you rather would have, instead of one great receiver that everybody's scared of, 2 or 3 great receivers that everybody's scared of. Now, I don't think anybody in the NFL has 3 besides maybe the 49ers, if you count Kittle, or CMC. But definitely there's teams out there that have 2, and if you see those teams, they're all being successful. The Bengals, Texans until Tank Dell was lost for the year. You have Miami with Jalen and Tyreek. Tampa with Godwin and Mike Evans. That's kind of what's keeping them alive. Rachaad White is good too. People that would need it. Oh, the Vikings. They drafted Jordan Addison. They got JJ back. But if there's teams that need that second guy, the Chiefs. If you want to keep Rashee Rice, add another one. It doesn't hurt to add another top-tier receiver, even though Rashee's a rookie. You could add him to Kelsey and him, then you have a trifecta. The Bills, you got Stephon, but what if you go into the draft and you get frisky and you add you go after a Jalen McMillan or Jalen Polk out of Washington, or maybe you want a little more explosive. You go after an Xavier Worthy out of Texas. Teams that have offensive potential, especially at the quarterback position, but don't have that other guy. And it's not an other number 2. We're not talking about number 2s here. Jordan Addison is not a number 2. T. Higgins is not a number 2. Jalen Waddle is not a number 2. For the Eagles, Devontae Smith is not a number 2. You get what I'm saying? Like, Ayuk is not a number 2. To Debo. These teams that really have the quarterback and offensive line and everything on the offensive side put together, the thing that is holding some of them back is not having that other number 1. You want to roll covers to this guy? Okay, cool. We still have a guy that runs a 4.3, can catch anything and turns on a dime. That's what Trevor Lawrence lost when he lost Christian Kirk, because Christian was his number 1 last year. And Christian had a career year last year. Now he had Calvin Ridley, and he was still figuring it out with Ridley, but he had Kirk. in addition to Evan and in addition to Travis. The rookie Parker Washington will get up to speed, but in the meantime, he had Kirk as his go-to. So I just wanted to say that because I believe that, especially in the next coming years, just like as offensive coaching gets a lot more pronounced and defensive coaches get kind of weeded out of the league, only the special ones are the ones that are staying, like a D'Amico and a McDermott, a Bill, Tomlin, maybe not the teams that they're at right now, but those defensive coaches are the ones that are kind of like, going above and beyond defensive wise to make a difference enough that, looking at the offensive side of the ball, you can't question them and they're being successful. Everybody else should get offensive coaches. Everybody else. And with that, I think that there will be an emphasis on that number 2 being a number 1. For example, Arizona, what should they do? As soon as you look at this Arizona offense, they don't need a new quarterback. They got Kyler. Kyler's great. Maybe get a more explosive running back, but DeMarcado, I think he'll work his way into that. That's what he did at TCU. You saw a big run this week, breaking tackles, getting away against us 49ers. So I think they're okay there. If I'm Arizona, the number 1 dude on my draft board is Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm not thinking of nobody else. I'm at the number 3 spot. I am taking Marvin Harrison Jr. number 1, and that will immediately make my offense lethal. Because then why? Why do I say this? Well, you have 2 deep threats. You have Rondale. You have Hollywood. You want to let one of them go? You want to let Hollywood go? Cool. You want to let Rondale go? Cool. You still have McBride. And then you add Marvin Harrison Jr. onto that. Unstoppable on the offensive side of the ball. You get what I'm saying? I think that that's going to be the tailoring of offenses from now on. And maybe some people, like the Bengals, for example, have a trifecta. They have a triad. You got Devontae, you got AJ, and not the Bengals. T. Higgins, Chase, and Tyler Boyd. Okay, what's gonna happen? I think T is leaving. I think they should replace him with Rome Odunze. They should find a way to get up there in the teens to try to take him. But there's really good talent at the wide receiver position. It's one of the high-end positions of this draft, beyond quarterback and beyond offensive tackle, which is another high-end position in this draft, as well as some tight ends also at the top, especially, of course, Brock Bowers. I don't know if the Texas tight end is coming out. I would hope so. He's really good, but he might stay in school. So, I believe that that's where the offensive side of the ball is going. Just put more pressure on the defense to put them in a bind. For example, Miami, when we're all healthy, who are you covering? Where are your resources going to be diverted to? Oh, number 10. Well, okay, number 17 can also run a 4-2 and get past you and turn on a dime and run any route on the tree. When you're at the Eagles, where are you going to divert most of your coverage? A.J. Brown. Okay, but we have a Heisman Trophy winner as a quote-unquote number 2. Not really. He could be 1,000-yard, 5,500-yard receiver, 15 touchdown guy if he had his own team. But he's with A.J. Brown, a freak. Look at a team that has always done it well, but just not with the high-end guys is Seattle. Seattle had Doug Baldwin, Sidney Rice back in the day, Percy Harvin. But now you look at the trifecta they got now. You have the veteran. You have Tyler, the veteran, the guy on third down that can get you anything, the deep ball guy. But then you have JSN, an elite slot receiver that can run any route on the route tree. And then you have another freak. You have DK, which was A.J. Brown's teammate at Ole Miss, So, I don't want to say this team, the Cowboys are going to go get another number 1. It's not going to be Brandon Cooks. I hope I hope that they don't go all in and do the right move, which is go get a Keon Coleman or a Malik Neighbors or even a Rome, a Dunze. Like, I hope that they don't do that, or an Xavier Worthy, and bring them back into that, because that would be lethal with CD on the other side. So I hope they don't do that. But that's what I'm talking about when it comes to like the offensive side of the ball and the shift that I'm seeing that will take place. Because if you look at the San Francisco 49ers, why are they so good on the offense? Yes, Brock Purdy is on time. He can play out of structure, which people don't give him credit for. He's better than Tua playing out of structure, to be honest. He's the MVP candidate right now. To me, if it came down to no positions, the MVP candidates 1 and 2 is CMC and Tyreek. And I want to preface that. If position did not matter, the MVP of the league would either be CMC or Tyreek Hill. Because there is no other two players in the league besides maybe Myles Garrett on the defensive side of the ball that cause as much havoc for the other side of the ball than Tyreek or CMC. And I would love to break them both down. I mean, with CMC, you have speed, power, vision, probably the best vision in the NFL. And that is not an understatement. That has been true since he was at Stanford. He has the best vision in the NFL as a running back. Hands like a receiver, can catch anything, can run any route. Is a matchup nightmare for corners, for safeties, for linebackers. You could put a D end on him. He hits him. He can block. He does everything. So he stretches the field that way, horizontally and vertically with his speed. He can run in between the tackles. He can run outside. He's durable. All right, let's go to Tyreek. What does Tyreek bring to the table? Some people say, oh my God, he's the fastest guy I've ever seen. That's one, but the guy does not drop balls. If you look at Tyreek's catch percentage, it's one of the highest in the NFL for the last few years. And two, this man will run any route at any distance at full speed, and there is no corner in the NFL or even coverage that you can try to bracket coverage him like they did at the Chiefs. But that was before he went into his craft like he did this year, coming into this year with his route running, with his releases. You can't cover this man. He runs a 4.2, is at full speed in 2 to 3 steps. He's at 22 miles an hour. I don't think he's run 100% this year yet, because he's hit 22.4, 22.3. That's not his fastest. He's hit 21.09, 23.09 before. So he hasn't even, he's dusting people and not even putting 100% speed on it. And then when you have a quarterback as accurate as Tua, that's the lethal side. Because it's not just like, oh, he'll run this in route. It's like, yeah, this in route, but we have it covered pretty well. There's 3 people. We got the safety at the top. We got an underneath linebacker. And we got the corner clouded over him. It doesn't matter when Tua could put that thing on a quarter, you know? So that's, and if he gets to 2,000, he needs 114 yards average for the next 4 games. And he gets to 2,000. If he gets to 2,000 and they do not give him the MVP, it'll be one of the biggest travesties in the NFL. AP got the MVP. He almost broke the rushing record in a single game. He had 296. He didn't want to get to 300. And he almost broke he was 9 yards away from breaking Eric Dickerson's all-time record for a season. And they gave him the MVP. If Tyreek goes for 2,000, we're talking about 2,000. The highest guy is Calvin. He's at 1,900 something. He came close. If he goes for 2,000, playing only 16 games because he missed this past last week, they have to give him the MVP. That's just my personal take on it. Moving on. Let's go to the NBA. We talked about Beal. Okay? We talked about Beal. But if we look at these standings, right? And I look at and I see highlights every single day. Every day I see highlights, okay? So I'm seeing what these teams are playing like, what's the continuity looking like every single day. And if I'm looking at the Eastern Conference, Boston still has a problem. It has a Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown problem in crunch time. because they have not tightened the handle yet. When the ball's in their hand in crunch time, just like it was against Miami and how it was against the Warriors when they went to the finals, that will be their downfall. I don't care if KP's on the floor. KP won't have the ball. It's still going to come down to Jason Tatum, still going to come down to Jaylen Brown at the end. They can score in bunches. They can score 30 by them, both of them, and find a way to lose the game just because either they go cold from three, which has happened. We've seen it. Horford goes cold. Pritchard goes. Everybody goes cold, and nobody can make threes. Or they get bludgeoned in the paint, which was seen before with Giannis and Embiid, Jokic. Like, you're going to face these dudes. How you going to... Okay, put it this way. Theoretically, Boston, Minnesota, finals. What are you doing in the paint? You're shooting all the time. You're not going in the paint. Rudy's going to be in the paint. Cat is playing pretty good defense right now. And it's not like you're going to have a cakewalk out there. You got Ant and you got McDaniels. Or you have Nickeil Alexander-Walker or Naz Reid. There is no cakewalk there offensively. It's going to be a struggle. Then you got to go on the other side and you got to tell Al Horford, hey, or KP, hey, can you defend Cat? Can you defend Rudy? Oh, by the way, while I'm Jason Tatum and I have to defend Ant, and Jaylen Brown has to defend McDaniels. And maybe Naz Reid on the outside and Cat at the outside. That's what I see from the Boston Celtics. I think that they're good. They're number one in the East right now, 20-5, 14-0 at home, 6-5 away. That away, you gotta win on the road in the playoffs. It's a fact. You gotta win on the road. So for right now, they're number one. They're running, they're a game and a half above the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. What am I seeing from Dame, Giannis, and that whole team? What I'm seeing is more continuity. I'm seeing Dame just scored 37 and 11. He's looking like he's getting back into rhythm. If Dame is in three-point rhythm, that means he's shooting from his normal, his career average is around 37. I think he could get to around 38, 39 this year, maybe 40 in some stretches. If he's in rhythm, this team is absolutely unstoppable. Oh, Josh, but you can kind of wall up Giannis. What are you going to wall up? What are you going to wall up when Damian is at 30 feet and he's shooting? He's just 6 for 8 from three tonight. It's the fourth quarter. We're down by 5. We can wall up Giannis. Okay, if he kicks it out to Dame, you got to hope he misses. Hope. In the fourth, where Dame is Dame time. If not, let's say you get it out of Dame's hands. Well, now you got Splash Mountain. Now you got Lopez out there. Wet. You got Bobby Portis. He's going to battle. You got Covington. He can shoot. And then the kids are doing well. Beauchamp is playing well. Andre Jackson Jr. is playing well. Really athletic. So you have a problem. I think Milwaukee is the best suited team to go to the finals. The scariest team is the Philadelphia 76ers. I have seen Joel Embiid not miss from 15 to 18 feet. This man gets the ball 15 to 18 feet, turns around, give you a jab step. He doesn't even have to dribble. Jab step, jumper. Wet. 18 out of 23 for 44 points. Easy. Simple. He doesn't even get touched. He doesn't have to touch the paint. He can touch it. He's not even taking a lot of threes either. This man is easy buckets. Okay, that's the scariest team. Why? Oh, but we could, Joel has gone cold in the playoffs and everything. Yeah, but this is without James Harden. This is with Tyrese Maxey. And the reason Tyrese Maxey allows this to happen is because Tyrese Maxey is a 42% three-point shooter, plus has one of the top 3 fastest first steps when going to the rim in the league, along with Ant and probably Ja and De'Aaron Fox. When you talk about first steps. Which means like that first step when you go into the rim and go into the hole, you're already even. If you're even, you're leaving. Those guys have those type of first step. Explosive. Get to the rim in a dime. You don't even see him. Tyrese is that type of dude. He's that type of speed. So that's the scariest team, especially with Nick Nurse. Good coach, championship coach, knows what it takes. On the defensive end, he had to defend Curry, Clay, and Durant to some extent until he got hurt in the finals. Then he had to defend the machine that was Clay and Curry, and then he ran the box and won to win it against Curry after Clay tore his ACL in Game 6. But the 76ers still have that little curse. So we'll see. But they're scary. They're scary. They're only 2 games back. Guys, the Eastern Conference from 1 to 6 is 6 games. And from 1 to 4 is 4 games. This is tight. It's tight. And from 6 to 10, it's 6.5 to the 10th seed being 10 games back of the 1 seed. Okay? So everything in the Eastern Conference is really tightening up. Okay, let's go to the Orlando Magic. They're 4th in the East. They've lost 2 in a row against good teams. They lost against Boston, and I think they lost against the Bucks. That's all right. That's okay. It's going to happen. But guess what? Paolo put in 30 and 13. 36 and 13. If Paolo is shooting the ball like he's shooting right now, the last few weeks, the last 3, 4, the last month, he's shooting the ball 39, almost 40% from 3. And he has the jumper. He's 6'9", almost 6'10", almost 250. Has guard skills, can get to the rim, is playing good defense. The defensive identity of this team with Jalen Suggs and everything, they hold you down defensively, is pretty good. But they're just young. That's it. They're just young. It's like Oklahoma City last year, but they're better than Oklahoma City was last year. Oklahoma City was in the play-in and stuff like that. This team is 4th in the East. Steady Eddie, 2 games behind 4 games behind first place, 16-9, 11-2 on home, 5-7 on the road. But they're young. That's okay. That's okay, because their opponents' points per game is 109.9. That is not a lot. When they're scoring, a modest 13.2. That's pretty good. Compared to the Milwaukee Bucks, they're 124.4. And the Boston Celtics 117.6, and Philadelphia 122.9. Everybody's defense is all right. It's there. It's there. Boston's defense looks pretty good, 108.5. That should be top 5 in the league. But they're at 109.9, so that's pretty good. At the 5th seed, the sleeper, baby. We sleeping right now. We're sleeping with no Bam and no Tyler. We've had no Tyler for 18 games. We're 5th in the East. Miami Heat, 15-11. Found the gem in Jaime Jaquez Jr., which I said we were going to do as soon as we drafted him. He was going to be a perfect Miami Heat player. He's better than advertised. Jamal Cain's playing. Kyle Lowry's hitting threes. Kevin Love is hitting threes. Jimmy's playing well. Caleb Martin's hitting shots. Duncan Robinson's hitting shots. We're playing pretty good defense. We're 5.5 back from the number 1 seed. We just want to be right there. This is no Tyler and no Bam. We've had no Tyler for 18 games. If he gets to 25 games, he's not even getting an All-Star or All-NBA type of nod or most improved, but he can't. That's how the rules are. So, unfortunately, I hope we get him back very soon. Supposedly, he's back in the next few games. I hope so. Bam, I think he's going to be back pretty soon too. And then we'll be at full strength. We'll see what this team can do in a stretch run when it's all fully put together and healthy. Number 6, Steady Eddie, New York Knicks. Still need that key piece. Jalen Brunson's doing great. He's averaging 30, I think, the last 5, 6, 7 games. But you need another scorer for in the playoffs. You don't get locked up, because if Randall does not give you what you need, you don't have a release valve that will, put the pressure off of Jalen. Number 7, Indiana Pacers. They've kind of been on a slide a little bit. They lost 3 in a row. They're still scoring, but a 1.4 difference between how much how much you're scoring and how much you're letting up. That's gonna cause some instability. Cleveland Cavaliers, I just don't know. Now Evan Mobley's out, so they lose their defensive stalwart. Now it's all on Jared Allen. Donovan's playing well. Darius Garland hasn't gotten to his all-star self yet. Struz is playing all right, but I think that team just doesn't have enough to battle the big teams. I just don't think so. Brooklyn Nets, surprise, 9. I think Mikhail is getting back into that bag of last year where he was like really showing like, hey, I could be maybe a number 1. Cam Thomas is getting back in his rhythm. I like what Cam Johnson's doing from the 3, getting back into that rhythm. They're just young. There's a lot of big dogs, ahead of them, but they're 9 right now, 7 back, they've lost 2 in a row, but they're playing well. All right, let's get to the team that we don't know what's going on. The only thing that we know is that Scotty Barnes is better than he was last year, and he's showing that he might be a superstar for that team and a cornerstone. Toronto Raptors, 10th in the East, 10 games back. I don't know. Every time I look at highlights of this team and I look at them playing, it's like half is struggle ball, half is like go in the paint. The defense is sometimes lackadaisical, sometimes it works. It's a sometimes team. Very mid. Very mid. Speaking of mid, Atlanta Hawks. Listen, I think the Trae Young experiment the ship has sailed. He might be 27-11. But 27-11 and 10 and 10 and 15 and not winning, not winning enough. It's not correlating to wins. Okay, I think that ship has sailed. I think Jalen Johnson, when he comes back, I think they'll be better. But they haven't used AJ Griffin this year a lot. So I thought that they would use him more after his good season last year, but. Once you get to the bottom feeders here, that's what I call the people that are not in the plane. The bottom feeders, we get to Chicago. They got to blow it up. DeMar is there by himself now because LaVine is hurt. I don't think LaVine will come back and play. I think he'll get traded before then. Charlotte has no LaMelo Ball. Brandon Miller's showing good. He's showing good promise. I've seen him score 24, 20-something. Like, that's what we're looking for in his young development. They lost Mark Williams, of course, so he's hurt as well. Washington Wizards, 4-21. They broke the losing streak, but this team has zero continuity. Okay, zero. When I see them play, it's occasionally you see a good play. Most of the time, it's discombobulated, balls going everywhere, and the shots going up. Only guy I like on there that's kind of doing okay, Corey Kispert, shooting well from 3. And Bilal Coulibaly, I like that rookie. I think he'll be a piece for the future. And then the absolute embarrassment of the NBA, the Detroit Pistons. 2 wins. Yes, 2 wins. 24 losses. On pace for the worst record in NBA history. Lost 23 in a row. And we are not talking about losing by 1 or 2. We are talking about getting drummed by 30 by the 76ers in the second quarter, by the Bucks at the end of the third quarter. 25-point lead. Getting murdered. This is, as soon as I see Killian Hayes getting the start over Jaden Ivey, I already know that it's going to go really wrong. Okay, and that's what's happened. Monty, this is on you. You took the $78 million. This is on you. You're the one that's putting out this lineup. Okay, you have better shooter on the bench. Get Killian Hayes out of there. Give yourself a little bit more athleticism so Cade could have some openings. Okay, because man, you have your superstar bad efficiency. Turnover prone, but he has no shooters. 0 shooters. Bojan Bogdanovic is the only shooter on your team. Only one besides Isaiah Stewart a little bit. Beef stew. You have 0 shooters. If you want to run like that, just put Jaden Ivey and give yourself a little bit more length, a little bit more explosiveness and athleticism. Because Killian Hayes can't jump over a paper clip, and he can't shoot, even if it was the ocean. Okay, this bad, and it's on Monty. I blame Monty for that. Western Conference. Still 3 games up on the Oklahoma City Thunder, Minnesota Timberwolves. Ant came back, and what happened? You get a couple of games, 27 by Nas Reed. You get a 40 bomb by Cat. Oh, and with that 40 bomb, boom, 37 point, 11 assists night for Anthony Edwards. He's just going to keep showing out. One of my friends, a good friend of the pod, told me like, oh, one thing I noticed about your podcast is you like Anthony Edwards a lot. It's like, yeah, I like him a lot. He's 22 years old. 22. Number 1 in the Western Conference. The leader of his team. Already had averaging a series 30 point in the playoffs last year against the eventual champs. And made it games. Not a series because they lost in 5, but made it games. You hear what I'm saying? This kid might be the next face of the NBA. There's a race, okay? I'm going to tell you the names right now. There is a race for the next face of the NBA. And when I say the next face of the NBA, I cannot say Europeans. And the reason why is because the NBA will not make a European the face of the NBA. It just won't happen. Luka could have it right now. Jokic doesn't want it, even though he's the best player in the world. Giannis tried to do it, but he's just not. He's a freak. He's a big. He's center basically. He's 7 foot. Like people can't relate to that. So after LeBron, Steph, and KD retired, because those are the 3 pillars in the game right now. That when people think about the NBA, that's who they think about. Is those 3 animals. Okay, 3 first ballot Hall of Famers, champions. One's one of the greatest scorers of all time, if not the most efficient scorer of all time in KD, and is a unicorn at 7 foot, can get his shot off whenever, is wet from anywhere, can shoot from 30, he could drive to the rim, he could defend. You have LeBron, the second best player ever to ever grace the court behind Mr. Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And then you have the greatest shooter of all time who just hit his 3,503, his only guy that has ever done that. And I think like besides Dame might be the only guy to ever get there. Although like the stats would say different just because at the volume that some of these young kids are shooting, Keegan Murray, Ant, and so on when it comes to like making threes, but the efficiency and just the longevity, his 268 game streak of threes got snapped yesterday against Portland, but they still won. Clay is playing better. He's dropped 28 at least in the last 4 games. But we'll get to them. So Minnesota, number 1, 19-5. They're 11-1 at home, 8-4 on the road. Their points per game is 113.6 and a 105.8 opponents per game rating is a crazy defense. That is nasty. Okay? Oklahoma City Thunder, they're for real, man. They are the kings of last year. Okay? For real. SGA, MVP candidate, still averaging 30 plus. Chet, in his pseudo rookie year, playing absolutely amazing. J-Dub, Jalen Williams, playing great. Isaiah Joe, top 5 in 3-point shooting in the league. Dort can shoot threes. Kenrich Williams. You have so many people on that team. Cason Wallace, the rookie from Kentucky, playing well, shooting well from 3, defending like an animal. You have so much on this team, so young. They're only going to get better. They're second in the West right now, 3 behind Minnesota. I mean, their defense is pretty good too. I mean, they're scoring 120.4 and allowing 113.6. So, the difference is pretty good. The defense is 113.6, but that's okay. It's not a 105.8, which is insane by Minnesota. But number 3, Dallas Mavericks. And this is without Kyrie. Luka has kept them up there. Why? Because, I don't know, he's scoring 30 points in the last 11 games. What this kid does at 23 is absolutely incredible. The ease of scoring for him is absolutely incredible. You can't stop him. Why? Because if you double him, he's getting a lob to Derek Lively, which has been an absolute gem for that defense. That's what you wanted. That's what you wanted. A rim protector that can be a lob threat for Luka. That's what they were missing. And then Luka can't miss. Luka's shooting 39% from 3. He used to be a 35, 36%, so you can kind of like maybe sag on. No, 39, deadly from 3, step back, off the catch. He could drive on you, uses his pace, has the big body, 6'7". Like, he has everything. He's competing on the defensive end. This is without Kyrie. Kyrie's been hurt for the last 4 games with an ankle. I think he'll come back in a couple weeks. But other than that, they're playing really good. Hardaway shooting well. So they're playing really. Grant Williams, great pickup. Everybody's playing well. They're third. They're 3.5 back of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Number 4, Steady Eddie, Denver Nuggets. Steady Eddie, 17-10, 10-2 at home, 7-8 on the road. I am not worried about the Denver Nuggets. Denver Nuggets can be the 6th seed, and they will still be the favorites. Why? Because they've done it before. Because, last year they were the number 1 seed. They were crazy. Okay, that's fine. They're just chilling right there. 4th seed, 3.5 games back. They can get on a run 10 straight, and they be fine. Jokic is still being Jokic. Jamal came back from a small injury. He's doing great. MPJ shooting the ball well. The rookies are doing really well. When they drafted Julian Strother in the first round, I said that kid is gonna make a difference. Evidently, what'd he do? Score 30 when they don't have Jamal and they don't have Jokic. He was the primary creator. Shooting from 3, they have Braun. He's playing really well. Reggie has reinvigorated his career as a 6-man. I mean, they're playing really well. And I just like watching them play. They're 4th seed. They're fine. Kings, 5th seed. The interior defense is still a problem. Sabonis is not a good defender. The interior defense is still a problem, and I think that it'll keep showing up until they plug it up. De'Aaron Fox has been scoring 30 in the last, I think, 9 games. He's playing absolutely insane. He's playing super well. Malik Monk is shooting the ball super well. They just got Keegan Murray back. He just had a 12 3-point game. The only guy to do that besides Curry and Clay to have 12 threes, and I think Dame did it once. So that guy's a sharp shooter, so they're playing really well. 5th seed, 4 games back. I'm not worried about the Kings. I think the Kings are done. The surprise that everybody was waiting for, if they were healthy, if they got the continuity down, the defense would catch up and the offense would start picking up. Los Angeles Clippers, 15-10, won 7 in a row. Hottest team in the NBA as of this moment. Why? 2 reasons. Kawhi is in a full rhythm. I'm talking about full rhythm Kawhi when he was with the Raptors. He looks just as spry. The shot looks even better. He's wet from everywhere. Mid-range, 3-point. He drives. He's still playing defense. He's still the claw. PG is getting his mojo back, but the guy that is unlocking everything is, I have to say it because he's playing really well, James Harden. He's hitting his three. He's dishing the ball around, making easy shots, and he's made Zubac's life so much easier in the paint. This man is catching and putting it in the basket so easy because of James Harden. So shout out to the Clippers finally putting it together. Do not get hurt. This might be the last year that you guys might be able to pull this off. And you got a tough road. Okay, so if they don't get hurt, I believe that they will be in the mix for the playoffs because this team is too talented. Terrence Mann, Powell is still a great six-man, scoring in bunches, especially in the fourth quarter when they need a boost. I mean, Russell Westbrook is still high energy, playing good ball. So I think that this is the surprise team, but this is the team that everybody thought that if they got it right, they could do something. So shout out to the Clippers. New Orleans Pelicans at 7 with 4.5 games back. Not worried about that. Why am I not worried about that? Because the last 2 games I've seen Zion, it looks like he's taking everything to heart. And the game after the season tournament, he got 37 and looked unstoppable. Well, guess what? If Zion is in that aggressive mode, the reason I'm not worried about them is because if Zion is aggressive, I know that Brandon Ingram, is getting shots and most likely putting them in. And CJ McCollum, I saw him yesterday. He played really well. Was hitting his three. And they got Jordan Hawkins hitting threes almost at a 40% clip. Their whole team can play defense. Dyson Daniels, Trey Murphy, once he gets into his rhythm from three, he's going to be lethal again. They still have Valanciunas. He scores in the middle. He's a rim protector. I mean, they got everything you need. Everything. They just got to stay healthy. That's it. Got to stay healthy. Number 8, Los Angeles Lakers. 15-11, 5 games back. Hey, this West is close. So 1 game here, 1 game there switches the standings, and we're still in early December. However, I do not think they have enough on the offensive end. And that's with LeBron playing at his level. I don't think Austin Reeves and an inconsistent Anthony Davis gives you enough offense. Although they got the refs on their side, so they're gonna get their free throws for sure. For sure. But I think that they're missing something. I think LeBron will make a move probably at the All-Star break of the trade deadline to try to supplement a little bit more scoring. Especially from the bench. The bench is not really doing anything. They got Vanderbilt back, they got Rui back, but you know, until they figure out rotations and how they're gonna play it, I see them having a capped ceiling. Not defensively, of course, because Anthony Davis is playing well. Number 9, Houston Rockets. Listen, this is where we get into the West where it's gonna be dog eat dog. Okay, every team is gonna have a case, and it's gonna come down to the records at the end. Houston, Phoenix, Golden State. You know, Golden State's at 11 right now. They've won 2 in a row. Phoenix, 10 with KD and Book. Houston, 13-10 at 9. This 7-11 is gonna be nasty the whole year, okay? And since there's only 8 games from number 1 to number 11, 8 games. That's it. And we're talking about teams that can go on runs. Like Golden State can go on runs. Phoenix can go on a run. Lakers could go on a run. Pelicans can go on a run. The Clips are on a run right now of 7 games. You know, so all those teams could go on runs. Phoenix, no Bradley Beal. We still don't know what they look like healthy. We still don't know. Gotta wait 3 more weeks. Okay? But they're playing well because they got Book. Book is playing well. And so is KD. He's still being KD. So they're playing well. Eubanks is playing well. You know, they got good 3-point shooting. They're playing good. Their defense is a little sus, but they're playing good. Let's move on to Golden State. Remember, I was worried, right? And the reason I was worried is because they weren't scoring the ball as easily as I think they should. And the reason why is because Andrew Wiggins and Klay Thompson were a complete no-show for the first 24 games. Well, in the last 4 games, Klay has put up 28 or more. Wiggins has looked better. Pajinski has looked even better as a rookie. He's a really good rookie. Kuminga has played well. Chris Paul has gotten his shot back. Now, let's talk about the big elephant in the room. Draymond Green, suspended indefinitely. Went into counseling, started counseling today. Is going to be out for at least 3 weeks. Can the defense hold? Can the defense hold until Draymond comes back? That's the key. However, if you got Klay, Wiggins, Paul, and Curry on all cylinders, plus Pajinski, and I like what Trace Jackson Davis is doing in the minutes that he's playing, and Kuminga, and maybe Moody can get hot, then we could do. Then they could do something. But right now they're 11th, 8 games back. They're on a two-game winning streak after losing 4 straight, I think. So I'm not worried, but I am concerned because we're kind of behind the 8 ball. You know, they're kind of behind the 8 ball, but I believe in Curry and I believe in Steve Kerr. Utah Jazz. No Keontae George, you got Laurie back. I still think you should play more Ochai Agbaji. I like Taylor Hendricks. I like what he's doing. I like Walker Kessler. I like their team. I like their young core. 9-17. This is just going to be a losing season for them. But, you know, I like what they have. Memphis. The time has come. I believe it's today. Monday. December 18th. Ja Morant is back on the floor. They are 13 games back. But they're only 7 games back of the 10th seed. If they get Ja back. Remember, they still don't have no interior presence because Adams is out for the year. But if Ja is Ja, and when I mean Ja, I don't mean like last year 27 a game. No, I mean like the leap. I mean like the pissed off. You guys doubted me. You thought I wasn't going to be this guy. And I think he's going to come back for the throne to try to gain that face of the NBA that we're going to talk about after I get through these standings. That he wants to be the face again, the guy that they were looking at, everybody was paying to go see, like the most electrifying superstar in the NBA. It was kind of like a WWE superstar every time he played, because that's what his game gives, you know? So, can they get back? They have a little bit of a chance. Just because this West is absolutely brutal. 1 through 10 is brutal, and at 11 is Golden State. So 1 through 11 is absolutely brutal. Your schedule is going to be tough game after tough game after tough game, and you're going to have to win. Because you got to pile up losses for them in order for you to catch up. So Ja has to be like SGA. Ja has to be 32, 30, around there, and maybe 10 assists. And I think he can do it. I think he can actually do it, no problem. But he's going to have to. And he's going to have to tow this thing on his back with Bane and just hope that they make it into the play-in. Because they are 13 games behind right now and 7 games behind 10th spot. Okay? It is tough. Okay? Portland Trailblazers. Thank you for playing Scoot more. I am seeing the growth. Finally, 24 games in. I'm seeing the growth. It's about time. I like Shaedon Sharpe. I like Anthony Simons coming back. Jeremy Grant's playing well. They've lost 7 in a row, but what I'm seeing from the young pieces, I like. This is a losing season. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I like what I'm seeing. I like what I'm seeing from the young cats. I like Scoot attacking the rim. I like Scoot taking threes. I like Scoot taking a 2. He's gonna be the piece. He is gonna be the piece. That's why you took him number 3. The next step is to start him over Malcolm. Once you make that step and you start shading Anthony and him, that's where you're going to see the next evolution of where you could go in the future in the next few years. But I like that they're finally playing the kid. San Antonio Spurs. They broke the 17-game losing streak that was their longest of all time. But guys, it is embarrassing to watch Wemby play. And it's not because of Wemby. It's because of everybody around him that's not named Devin Vassell or Keldon Johnson. Jeremy Sohan is blind, okay? I am convinced. When it comes to ball in his hand, need to pass, he cannot see a guy that's 7'4" in the paint. Cannot. They miss him so much in transition. They miss him so much in regular offense. It's criminal. He's scoring 17 and 10 right now, 20 and 10 right now. He could be at 25 to 30 easily if they just gave him the ball. But I like it that he's not complaining and he's going, but he can't keep losing. You guys have to give up on the Sohan experiment, start Trey Jones, and let his offensive game flow. If not, if you don't want to do that, you want to keep Jeremy Sohan in, guess what? Move Jeremy Sohan back to power forward and just give Vic the ball and let him cook. Let him cook. Let him and Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson cook. If that's what you want. Because at this point, you guys are not helping you. You guys are not helping your case. Like, you took him number 1 to not use him, and that's what you're doing. He's scoring 20 and 10, sometimes trying to get you back into games, shooting threes in the fourth quarter because you don't give him the ball from the first to the third or even the fourth sometimes. It's embarrassing. I do not like it. Let's talk about the face of the league. The 4 guys that are in contention right now as for the face of the league is Anthony Edwards, Ja Morant, Jason Tatum, and a sneaky one is Zion. Sneaky, because he can get there, but like he needs to put in work. Okay? Who do I think out of those is going to become the face of the NBA? The first one to get a championship. That's what's going to decide it. The first one to claim the chip will be chosen as the face of the NBA. Now, we're talking about a 22-year-old in Ant. I believe a 22 or 23-year-old in Ja. If not a 25. A 26-year-old in Jason. And a 23-year-old in Zion. So if the 22-year-old, if Ant gets it this year, let's say they go on a giant run, he's the finals MVP, he will be the face of the league. They'll start plotting the Michael Jordan, Kobe way for him. Okay? If it's Jason Tatum, they'll start the Larry Bird type of talk with him. If it's Zion, if they go on a massive run, Zion goes dominant, they'll start the Shaq, table for him. So, and Ja, they'll start the, not the Curry, because Curry, it's not an explosive guard. Like, when I think about an explosive guard, it might be, uncharted waters if Ja got a championship, because not like he's Derrick Rose. He's like Derrick Rose, but Derrick Rose never got a chip. So I think it would be like uncharted waters. If the NBA actually wanted to make a face of the league as of right now, while Curry and LeBron and KD are still playing, they would go to the Europeans. They would go, first of all, Luka. Luka's the one that, yeah, he shows personality, but, he's still kind of to himself. Jokic don't want it. Jokic goes, plays with his horses, buys horses, races horses in Serbia in his off time. That boy doesn't show up till mandatory training camp. Okay, he's gonna dominate no matter what. But he doesn't want the face of the league tag. Giannis, he kind of had it already. He could have it again if he goes on another dominant run. I mean, he's playing dominantly right now. But, he kind of had it already. Embiid would have to win a chip. Then the Shaq comparisons start. Even though Shaq wasn't much of a shooter, but just the size and everything. Hakeem, stuff like that. But I think Luka would be the most viable option if you're talking about right now while the legends are in the game. And that's the NBA. Let's move on to the NFL. All right. The NFL. I'm going to break down the playoff picture, I believe, at the end. I want to get to these games. Let's start with Chargers-Raiders. 63-21. Raiders. The bottom line of this game was the Chargers didn't show up from kickoff. They knew that if they didn't show up, Staley would be fired. Now, I didn't know Tom Telesco would be fired. He drafted pretty well, but got to get rid of the whole problem. And if you think the whole problem is both of them together, then poop, out you go. Takeaways from this game, I want to say Aiden O'Connell, it looked really, really good. Aiden O'Connell looked really good. He looked like, he looked like he can run the offense. He looked like he can run the offense. He went 20 for 30, 34, 248, 4 touchdowns, no picks. That's beautiful. Even Jacoby Myers got a touchdown. The offense was working. No Josh Jacobs, no problem. Give it to Zamir White. They ran for 124 on the ground, him and Amir Abdullah, with Brandon Bolden with 2 carries combined there. Samir had a touchdown. Receiving. Hey, Devontae got his 100-yard game and a touchdown. 12 targets. That's what you got to do. You throw the ball to your number 1 receiver no matter what. Because if the ball is anywhere near his vicinity where he can go get it, he'll go get it. That's what a number 1 receiver, especially a first ballot Hall of Famer, does. Trey Tucker, the rookie, 3 for 59, 2 touchdowns. He was sensational. Michael Mayer, 4 for 39 and a touchdown. Jacoby Myers, 2 for 32 and a touchdown. Like, everything was clicking. Everything. Nothing was not clicking. Okay, when you put 63 points up on the board, everything was clicking on defense. Jack Jones gets cut from the Patriots. Oh, let me catch one of the sickest interceptions in NFL history. One hand, look at the quarterback, Easton Stick, tuck it away, run into the end zone. Beautiful interception. We had a fat man touchdown as well. Shout out to I'm trying to get his name right here. Shout out to the big boy, man. Shout out to the big boy. He picked it up. He ran. Max Crosby was looking if anybody was going to go after him. But, he got him. He got him. Now, what does this mean for the Chargers? This is what it means. Easton Stick obviously is not the guy. You have the guy on the sidelines for next year. Okay? Everybody on this defense is good. Eric is good. Eric Kendricks. Derwin James, a stud. Khalil Mack, stud. You still have Joey Bosa, stud. Asante Samuel Jr., stud. Problem is not personnel. Problem is coaching. you're going to get rid of the coach. Shout out to Josh Palmer for 4 receptions and 113 and a touchdown, even though that was pretty much at the end of the game. Quentin Johnston caught a touchdown. That was nice, but he only got 3 targets. Got to use him more, even though, I think he can break out in the next few weeks by them just trying to throw the ball. The thing for the Chargers is simple. Next year, it's either Bill Belichick or Harbaugh. There's no other choice. Bill Belichick or Harbaugh. I'm thinking they're going to go after Bill, but if Harbaugh stays to what rumors are, which is like no matter what happens at Michigan this year, whether they win or lose, he's leaving. I think that he is going to the best quarterback in the market, and that's Justin Herbert. Okay? By the way, I picked this game right. Okay, I picked the Raiders. We're 1-0. Okay, let's go on to the next game. Vikings-Bengals. Really exciting game for 2 backup quarterbacks. I enjoyed this game a lot, but this game taught me one thing, and it's what I said at the beginning and in the intro. You have to have 2 number ones. 2 number ones put so much pressure on the defense to pick. And if you have a good tight end, then they can't pick. Then they can double both of your number ones and your tight end will be 1-on-1. And if you got a TJ Hawkinson, that is very favorable. Let's start on the Vikings side. Bengals won 27-24 on a insane game tying drive by Browning. But we'll talk about that. Let's talk about the Vikings. Nick Mullins. Did not expect him to look this good. He went 26 for 33 for 303 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw 2 picks. Ty Chandler ran the ball really well. 23 carries, 132 yards, and a touchdown. And then why do you have two number one receivers? Because either one of them can go off. This time it was the rookie, Jordan Addison, 6 catches, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns, along a 37 on 6 targets. 6 times you passed him the ball, 6 times he caught it. 2 touchdowns. Don't get no more efficient than that, ladies and gentlemen. Justin Jefferson, he comes back, 7 catches, 84 yards on 10 targets. Simple. It doesn't get more simpler than that. Throw it to your best receivers. TJ Hawkinson, 6 for 63, 7 targets. Okay? That's what you do. Now, the defense is kind of, the defense needs a little help. I think they're getting kind of old. I think they need they need a big splash, either draft pick this upcoming season or free agent for the defensive side of the ball, because they're allowing too much even to a backup quarterback. That's just, you're not supposed to do that. Okay? Let's talk about the Bengals. Jake Browning, 29 for 42, 324, 2 touchdowns, a pick. Solid. I mean, what else can you ask from your backup quarterback? Playing great too, making real plays, real throws. Joe Mixon, 10 for 47, along a 10. They didn't run the ball particularly well. They only got 80 yards. Shout out to Minnesota for that rushing defense, but the passing defense, they gotta do something there. They gotta do something there defensively. Jamar Chase, he got hurt this game. I think he'll be good. Going for the rest of the way. I don't think it was severe, but he did leave this game. But he went 4 for 64. He had big 3rd down conversion. And then T. Higgins, 4 for 61, but 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns. I mean, if you think about it, Jake Browning spread the wealth here. I mean, he He gave Jamar 4 targets. He gave T. Higgins 4 targets. Tyler Boyd 5 targets. Tanner Hudson 5 targets. Chase Brown 3 targets. Mitchell Wilcox 2 targets. Irv Smith 3 targets. Joe Mixon 3 targets. I mean, he threw it to everybody. I'm counting 12 names here he threw the ball to. And 11 of them caught a pass. So he spread the wealth. It was nice to see. But T. Higgins. T. Higgins. This is why you draft him. This is why you're going to have to pay him. Or I think he's going to either the Chiefs, the Bills, maybe the Jets, Dallas you can throw in there. You know, he's going to one of those teams. Because, I mean, this guy's a number one, bro. Throw it up there, hope and pray. And Browning said, yup, that's what I'm doing. He did it on 3rd down, and then he did it for the touchdown. What a play to catch it. To catch it, get your feet down, and no look to cross the goal line. The sense of space where he was absolutely incredible to see. I mean, I've been seeing it since Clemson. So, you know, he's a number one. He's going to get paid. He's a $25 to $30 million receiver. And if it's not coming from the Bengals, it's going to definitely come from a good team that's going to want a number one receiver. Okay? Next game. Go to Colts, Pittsburgh. Okay? I was right again. I was right with the Bengals. I was right with the Colts. Colts beat Pittsburgh in Indianapolis, 30-13. Let's talk about what the Steelers here. Mitch Trubisky, 16 for 23, 169. A touchdown, 2 picks. Mind you, this game started 13-0. And then Indianapolis put up 30 unanswered. Okay? Jaylen Warren getting 10 carries. Najee getting 12. We're still having a disparity there. I don't know why. Deontay Johnson getting 6 targets. George Pickens getting 7. This offense is absolutely abhorrently atrocious. Abhorrent. Okay? This is awful, awful, awful offensive football. Okay? Mitch Trubisky should not be on the field. And then, with 2 minutes left, you put in Mason Rudolph. If you're going to do that, do it at halftime. At halftime, okay? You don't do it with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That's you saying lost cause. And he announced today that Mason Rudolph will start the remainder of the season or the next game. Listen, this team is a dumpster fire. Tomlin has to go. Yes, the 17 years was nice, but no Super Bowls, and that's your standard? You gotta go. He's gonna get picked up immediately by a team. Immediately. Whether it's Washington, whether it's the Chargers, whether it's the Saints, he will get picked up immediately. But it's time for a change of scenery. It's time for a change of message. Go after an offensive football coach. Because your offense is atrocious. Okay? Atrocious. That's it. You guys are done. You wasted TJ Watt, another close to defensive player of the year type of year. He's leading the league in sacks still. You wasted that type of year. On to the Indianapolis Colts. I don't know how they're doing it, man. 8-6. Clear in the playoff picture, especially in the AFC South. Gardner Minshew, 18 for 28, 215, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Efficient. Trey Sermon, 17 for 88. Tyler Goodson, 11 for 69. Nobody knows who. Well, I know Trey Sermon from Ohio State. Nobody knew Tyler Goodson was on this team. Zach Moss gets hurt after scoring. Should have been a touchdown. I thought it was, but he got hurt. It's same arm that he broke. That kept him out the first week of the regular season, and yeah, so the running game is still doing good. They still went for 170 on 34 carries as a team. Michael Pittman went 4 for 78. DJ Montgomery went 2 for 48. Mo Alley Cox went 2 for 21. It wasn't like a crazy game, but the defense did its job, especially after the 13-point lead early in the first half. And Zaire Franklin is still leading the league in tackles. DeForest Buckner's still a force. Kwity Pace playing well. Ebukam is playing well. Julian Blackman's playing well. So, Amir Speed, EJ Speed, everybody's playing well for this team. They're 8-6. They're right in it. They're literally right in it. We'll talk about the playoff picture later, but shout out to the Colts. Pick them. And we get to our first loss of the week, unfortunately. And it was a bad loss. I picked the Broncos. I thought that their defense would have been enough and Russell would have done enough. But guess what? The Lions, just drum roll, the Broncos 42-17 in Detroit. Detroit goes to 10-4. They're right in it for, I don't know about the 1 seed, but they're still kind of in it. If anybody slips up, they can definitely go take it. Denver didn't have anything this game. 18 for 32, 223, a touchdown for Russell Wilson. Samaj P. Ryan went for 37. Javonte Williams for 12 for 27. They couldn't run the ball. They passed for 223. Judy had 3 catches for 74. Cortland had 5 for 71. It was just not a good outing for them. This offense really shows that it's limited in explosiveness and inability to stretch the field. I think that's something that they will have to address either in this upcoming draft or in free agency. They just don't have no explosive plays, and out there for the defense to think about, besides maybe Cortland Sutton on a deep ball. And when that doesn't work, that's kind of it. And that's what happens. You get a team that can really bludgeon you, and you can't keep up. Shout out to Jared Goff, 24 for 34, 278, 5 touchdowns, but he got a nickel. 5 TDs, 3 of them to Laporta. Look at that kid. That kid's going to be an absolute superstar. Jahmyr Gibbs, 11 carries for 100 yards and a touchdown, along with 34s. David Montgomery went 17 for 85. They rushed for 185 on 28 carries. Jahmyr looks like the superstar running back that they took at 11, like he should. Receiving and running the ball, he caught a receiving touchdown. Amon-Ra went 7 for 112 and a touchdown. Laporta went 5 for 56 and 3 touchdowns. Jameson Williams got to get into it a little bit more, 4 for 47. More involved. I believe that's the last part of that offense that could get really unlocked. And then you have Amon-Ra, you have Sam, you have Jameson and Jahmyr. And then along with David Montgomery, Khalif Raymond, Josh Reynolds, Donovan Peoples-Jones, you have a plethora of weapons once you unlock that Jameson Williams piece, which will be the deep speed, long range option. And that's what you drafted him out of Alabama a year ago. So shout out to the Lions, 42-17, right in the thick of it, 10-4. I need to see more from the defense, as in regards to playing the big teams, like the good teams at the top of the NFC. That defense cannot give up yards as easily as they were been doing earlier in the season and throughout the season against the good teams. So, but I like what I saw. Shout out to the Lions. And the Broncos, 7-7. I think that the Russell Wilson, Sean Payton thing might be over. I think Sean Payton might go after a quarterback, maybe in the draft, or maybe they keep him for one more year, and in the draft they pick a 4th or 3rd round pick. Because I think that they just don't mesh. He likes a Drew Brees type, really accurate. If not, he likes a Taysom Hill type, really athletic. And right now, Russell Wilson is kind of in the middle of both and not great at either. So it's a possibility that Russell might be done there, even with the big contract and everything like that. But shout out to the Lions. Next game, we move on to our Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins #1. Yes, sir. 30-0. Shout out. I picked that good too. We're 10-4. We're right in the thick of it again for the #1 seed in the AFC. This game, I mean, I'm not gonna break down too much. Tyreek didn't play. We were facing a legit defense, but our defense is playing pretty well, especially going against Trevor Siemian and Zach Wilson. We knocked Zach Wilson out after Bradley Chubb hit him and created a fumble we got it at the 1 and got Mostert. He broke the record for franchise history for most touchdowns at 19, and then he got 20 later in the game. So let's be honest. Jets offense sucks. Doo-doo. Okay, and the unfortunate thing is you got a guy like Breece Hall who's a superstar. You got a guy like Garrett Wilson who's a superstar, and you're just not getting him the ball. You can't get him the ball. You can't protect. They're officially eliminated from playoff contention. So are the Chargers. They're eliminated for playoff contention. We'll get to that at the end, but it's just sad. I think that the first thing that they have to take care of is that offensive line if they want any semblance of success with Aaron Rodgers next year. They were going to be in the T. Higgins sweepstakes, I believe, to pair him up with Garrett Wilson and give Aaron Rodgers that another dimension on the offensive side of the ball to not just have one answer but have more than one. Maybe they go after a Brock Bowers, somebody like that, but I think that the Zach Wilson and experiment is also done. I think they'll draft somebody in the draft, whether that's third, second, fourth round. I think that they're done with Zach Wilson. I think that experiment is done. But if you guys hear a different change in like the tonality of the podcast right now, it's because I came into my room because I have birds at the house and they sometimes out of nowhere just start screaming, and I don't want you guys to have that in the podcast. So I came into my car where it's a little bit more quiet. I will be stepping up my mic, sound effects, maybe intro music, game. Hopefully during this Christmas time. So hopefully next year we'll have some new goodies to play with and stuff like that, and I'm excited about that. Also, still working on the video element. That will be coming very soon as well, if everything goes to plan. Now, to the Dolphins. No Tyreek. Tyreek decides, I can't go. I know that he's coming back this week, so I'm not worried about next week, especially against Dallas. But as it pertains to this week, Tua was super, super accurate. 21-24, 212, a touchdown. He did get sacked 3 times, but he seemed fine. Raheem did okay, 15 for 42, 2 touchdowns that were short touchdowns. Devon Achane went 9 for 32. I think we got to get him a little bit more involved. Jalen Waddle, 8 for 142, a lot of it in the first half, and a touchdown along of 60, a beautiful deep ball that Tua, put right on the money. I remember last week we said that he's very Tyreek dependent. But what this game showed me, especially against this defense and only having Jalen Waddle and being able to just drum them 30-0, we can play with other teams as long as our defense plays like this. If Bradley Chubb plays like with 3 sacks, if you got Zach Sealer, Andrew Van Ginkel, Christian Wilkins, Jalen Ramsey playing in the back end. If we can do that, I think we can really be okay against the good teams. We'll see it this week. We'll see it this week. But that's pretty much it on the Dolphins. I mean, we dominated this game. It's 30-0. We were at home. It was chilling, but it's good to see Jalen Waddle back in, Jalen Waddle form, with Tyreek on the field. We get Tyreek back. It's just going to be a problem. I think that we should turn it into Eagles like Eagle were last year. Unstoppable with Devontae Smith. Unstoppable with A.J. Brown. I think we're unstoppable with Tyreek and unstoppable with Jalen Waddle. You put them together, I think we should be unstoppable regardless of what any defense does. So hopefully the offensive line just gives us enough time and we can run the ball. We have to run the ball a little bit more efficiently, but other than that, we played a good game, and I'm proud of the boys. Moving on to Texans-Titans. I picked the Texans. We came out winning, even though it looked like most of the day we weren't going to, but we came out. We won. Texans are 8-6 to get C.J. Stroud back hopefully this week out of concussion protocol. So they should be in the mix. The Titans 5-9, they get eliminated from playoff contention, but I think they found their franchise QB in Will Levis. I think they drafted the one. For the Texans, I thought it would be Davis Mills. Nope, Case Keenum. I guess D'Amico was just like, hey, I'm gonna put a guy that knows what he's doing and has been there before and gives us the best chance, to win. I appreciate, I respect it. Now, what they did this game was run the ball. They went 26 for 121 with Devin Singletary. They rushed for a total of 148. Case Keenum was serviceable, 23 of 36, 229, a touchdown, a pick, 3 sacks for 27 yards, but very serviceable. Noah Brown, shout out, former Cowboy. This is why you don't get rid of your players that show flashes. 8 receptions, 82 yards in the absence of Nico Collins and a touchdown, 11 targets. Dalton Schultz went 4 for 58 on 5 targets. Devin Singletary went 5 targets, 4 for 49, 4 catches of 49 yards. Robert Woods went 3 for 30. Brevin Jordan was 1 for 14. So it was a team effort. It was a great comeback win because they had to tie it and then they had to win it in OT. And the defense kept the Titans struggling all game long. So shout out to D'Amico. He's one of the top 3 candidates for Coach of the Year, in my opinion, especially if they make the playoffs, coming from what this team was last year. This was a laughingstock. Remember, they had the number 2 pick in the league. So, moving on to the Titans. Will Levis, 17 for 26, 199, no touchdowns, a pick. 7 sacks for 61 yards. So let's start there. That is the offensive line. That's what happens. The offensive line got to get fixed. Tajay Spears, they couldn't run. They ran for 66 yards. They couldn't run at all. Derrick Henry went 16 carries for 9 yards. That's abysmal. Treylon Burks finally showed something. He went 3 catches for 62. Chris Moore went 3 for 39. Okonkwo went 3 for 36. DeAndre Hopkins in 9 targets, 2 for 21. So not a good outing. This game was just AFC South. Boring. One future quarterback. I think Will Levis has it. I think Will Levis has the arm, physicality, the attitude. I think he just has to get better with his reads and not holding the ball too long and his accuracy. And shout out Case Keenum for coming up with the win. Kaimi Fairbairn hits 4 big kicks, including the game winner. And they win. So shout out to the Texans, right still in it. The next game we are covering is Tampa Bay at the Packers. And the Bucks, much to my dismay, because I picked the Packers, the Bucks get out of Lambeau 34-20. Baker Mayfield, career day. 22 for 28, 381, 4 touchdowns, perfect QB rating. Or passer rating. One of the two. It was perfect. He was the only guy besides Aaron Rodgers to do that at Lambeau. Ever. He was the first guy on the road to ever come do that. Ever. And quarterbacks in general, Aaron Rodgers was the only guy. Rachaad White with 21 for 89 on the ground. And he went 2 for 50, including a touchdown in the air. So he's showing his dual threat ability. Chris Godwin went 10 for 155 after his wife said that he wasn't getting enough targets. Well, 12 targets, 10 catches, 155. It was beautiful to see him, be utilized. He is I think he has the ability to be more than a solid number 2. I think he has real, wide receiver 1 type of ability. Shout out to David Moore in the fourth quarter for the last touchdown. He juked, broke a tackle and then juked a Packers defender to get into the end zone. Mike Evans went 4 for 57 and a touchdown, because Mike always has to get his touchdown. It was overall a good game. I was more impressed by the defense. They held them, they held them pretty well. Levante David had half a sack. Anthony Nelson had a sack. Shaquille Barrett had half a sack. So I was really impressed with the Tampa Bay defense, especially going against this Packers offense, who people thought it was on the up and up. But Jordan Love went 29 for 39, 284 with 2 touchdowns, no picks. But Aaron Jones went 13 for 53. So there was no running game. They only ran for 60. I mean, there was not a lot of running game this whole game, honestly. One team went for 199. The other one was for 60. So the running game was kind of really stymied. Dontavian Wicks ran 6 for 97. 7 targets. Tucker Kraft went 4 for 57 with a touchdown. Jaden Reed went 6 for 52. I think that he's going to be the best receiver out of that whole group. Romeo Doubs went 33 for 30. Malik Heath went 3 for 29. Aaron Jones went 4 for 16. No Christian Watson. But, I think that Packers next season is what they should be looking at. Next season, maybe get another offensive lineman in there through the draft. Really shore up this run defense because everybody else has been running all over them. So I think that, that's going to be the big part. They want to fire Joe Barry. I think that they should. LaFleur is a different story, though. I mean, if you want a complete change of scenery, you can fire him. But at the same time, I think that him and Jordan Love have a good repertoire. They're building a good rapport on the offensive side of the ball. I think the offense is working. They just need to find a way to run the ball efficiently and pick up third down. So I think next year they'll be better. So I think they'll fire Joe Barry as a defensive coordinator. Get yourself a legit defensive coordinator, whether that's Williams from the Saints once he gets fired, Todd Bowles if he gets fired from Tampa Bay, even though I don't think if he makes the playoffs or wins that division, which is what they're in line to do right now, I don't think that he'll get fired. But I think that Joe Barry has to get out of there because in spite of the offense being good, this defense just fails them. It fails them time and time and time again. So I think the Buccaneers are good. I think they're going to look for a quarterback, not to start, but to maybe give Baker one more year. Maybe they give Baker one more year and then maybe they look for quarterback in the draft or something like that. But I think that, shout out to Tampa Bay, 7-7 with no Brady. Baker's stats look better than Brady's did last year. So, and that defense is still playing well. So they're definitely in line to win this division, even though this is the tank division of the NFL. Moving on to Saints, to Giants, Saints. Saints 24, Giants 6. I picked the Saints. if we just go through this real quick, because I want to get to the games that actually matter a lot. We had a bit of them. Tommy DeVito went 20 for 34, 177, 7 sacks for 57 yards. I think the Tommy DeVito experience is over. Tyrod Taylor came in. He went 2 for 4 for 13 yards. So nothing happened, nothing special for the New York Giants. I think this season's over, obviously, 5-9. Unfortunately, they couldn't do nothing against this Saints defense, which has been the one of the only bright spots of this season for them. I think a quarterback search is in Sue. Should they go after somebody in the draft or somebody in free agency? I would say somebody in the draft so Daboll can start from scratch. But they paid Daniel Jones, so I don't know what's going to happen there. But I would not go back to Daniel Jones. I would definitely go after a quarterback. You got weapons there. Waller came back this week. He went 4 for 40. Darius Slayton showed up. He went 4 for 63. Wandale went 4 for 25, and then Saquon just didn't have a hole. They had 60 yards rushing in total. So, to the Saints, this is the up and down nature of the Saints. The trash division. Derek Carr went 23 for 28, 218, 3 touchdowns, no picks. One of them to Jimmy Graham again. Alvin went 16 for 66. I mean, they only ran the ball for 87 yards. They weren't having much success on the ground. Alvin Kamara caught 5 for 44. Jawan Johnson with 2 for 38. I mean, it wasn't big plays. It wasn't anything. They just did just enough. The defense played well, and Derek Carr did just enough. Do I think Derek Carr's the answer? I mean, he's hurt this year a lot, so I don't know if when he's healthy he'll be better. But I think that since you paid him, you have to go one more year. But I would look for something in the draft. Although I think this coach is getting fired at the end of the season. I think regardless of what happens, I think they want to go an offensive route, an offensive coach. So this might be one of the vacancies for the offseason. Moving on to Atlanta at Carolina. We're gonna cover this quick. Carolina wins 9-7 in a downpour. Desmond Ridder is horrible. That's it. It's done. They should not start him anymore, even though Heineke is still hurt. I don't even know why they don't put nobody else in. He went 12 for 20, 152, a touchdown and a pick. But it looked a lot worse than that. Like I said, this was a downpour in Carolina. Tyler Algier went 14 for 45. Bijan went 7 for 11, including, I think, a fumble, if I'm not mistaken. But 7 carries for Bijan Robinson. You got to get out of here with that. Like, you got to be kidding me. Jonnu Smith makes another appearance, 2 catches for 61 yards. Kyle Pitts catches 3 catches for 37. Drake London went 2 for 24, and Kadero Hodge went 1 for 10. This game was just bad. It was an eyesore to watch. Bryce Young went 18 for 24, 167, had a game-winning drive, basically, that took them all the way to the 1, and they kicked the field goal. Chuba Hubbard went 22 for 87. They ran for 129 yards, which is okay. Adam Thielen went 4 for 43. Tommy Tremble went 2 for 32. Jonathan Mingo went 4 for 30. This game was bad. None of these two teams are making the playoffs. It's done. The Panthers, I don't know what they have to do something in the draft or in free agency. They need to get more weapons. They need to fix the offensive line. They need to run the ball. They need to do everything better. Their defense is pretty good, but with Mr. Spider-Man, Brian Burns, but everybody else, and Derek Brown, but J.C. Horn's playing well, but they just need help. And for the Atlanta Falcons, I think they should go after Justin Fields. I think that's the play. If not, go after one of these young cats in the draft, a Bo Nix or Michael Penix, and just give yourself a chance at the quarterback position, because you're literally wasting the primes and the beginnings of Kyle Pitts and Drake London and Bijan. It's just embarrassing to see that you have this much talent and you can't turn it into anything. It's embarrassing. So, but shout out to the Panthers. Shout out to Bryce Young. first game-winning drive of his career. In a downpour, like I said. It wasn't pretty, but they got it done. Next is Chicago versus the Browns. And somehow, some way, didn't look like it, but Joe Flacco made it happen. 28 for 44, 374 yards, 2 picks, two touchdowns and 3 picks, but it didn't matter because he led them down the field to score the game winner. Justin Fields went 19 for 40, 166, a touchdown and 2 picks. I mean, it's up and down with this team. They can't run the ball. They ran for 88 yards. DJ Moore went 4 for 52. They still had a shot at the end. Of course, the Hail Mary that never happened. But I think that they should just either take Caleb Williams or somehow surround Justin Fields with what he needs to be successful. But I think that the true thing that they should do is take Caleb Williams. Take Caleb Williams, number one. Move Justin Fields, get a second-round pick for him or something from Atlanta or something like that, and move forward. As for the Browns, they're 9-5, still very much in the playoff race for the wild card, if not their own division. But I don't think the Ravens will slip up, so we'll see about that. They ran the ball for 29 yards, guys. 29 yards. The Bears defense held them to 29 yards. And then they got cooked through the air. Amari went 4 for 109, including the game winner, which was an absolute dime of a pass. He put that thing through a cornhole. It was beautiful for Joe Flacco to make that pass. And Njoku went 10 for 104, which has become the real threat in this offense now that Joe Flacco's the quarterback. And, Marquise Goodwin made a big play, 1 for 57. Cedric Tillman went 4 for 52. Elijah Moore, they still don't use enough, 2 for 17. But shout out to the Browns, man. Shout out to Joe Flacco. That defense is absolutely insane. My defensive player of the year right now, it's Myles Garrett. I like TJ Watt. I love Nick Bosa, Max Crosby, but right now, he's still running the number one defense in the NFL. This defense is super stingy. You got, an all-pro corner in Denzel Ward out on the outside. You have, to me, a Pro Bowl linebacker in Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. You have Taki, Greg Newsome. So you got good people. Good people out there. Zadarius Smith got hurt. Hopefully he's okay because they need him. But, shout out to the Browns, bro. They came out. They needed to get this win. It was tough. They came back and got it done. And we got that right because I did pick the Browns. Moving on to KC versus the Patriots. Mahomes get off the schneid. We get it right again. They're also 9-5, still kind of in the race for the 1 seed if anybody else slips up. Mahomes played a good game. He still had drops from Tony. He had drops from Travis, but Rashee Rice played well, and they got it done. Patrick Mahomes went 27 for 37, 305, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Clyde didn't run the ball particularly well. He went 13 for 37. They ran the ball for 43 yards in total. But Rashee Rice went 9 for 91. He's showing that he's going to be his number one receiver. I still feel like they need one more big play guy. But, Kelsey went 5 for 28. So he's not really getting his load anymore. He's getting 7 targets. But, some of them are, he could have had a touchdown. They could have looked for him in the red zone a little bit more, but they're focusing in on him so much that, it's tough. Watson went 1 for 31. Noah Gray went 2 for 37. Clyde Edwards-Helaire went 4 for 64 and a touchdown. The touchdown that looked like he was jumping 40 feet in the air because he's 5'7". the explosiveness to catch that in the back of the end zone, and the extension of the play by Patrick Mahomes, doing Patrick Mahomes things. The defense is still playing out of their mind as usual. L'Jarius Sneed, Justin Reed, Mike Edwards, of course, Nick Bolton, and Derek Nottie and Chris Jones, Willie Gay with the pick. Everybody's playing well. This team runs through their defense, and it's gonna be like that. They scored 27. They're undefeated when they score more than 20 this year, more than 21 this year. So, as for the Babu Patriots, Bailey Zappi, 23 for 31, 180, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 4 sacks for 26 yards. They ran for 52 yards in total. Ezekiel got 11 carries, got 25 yards. Kevin Harris, whoever that is, he went 4 for 25 and a touchdown at the end of the game. Hunter Henry went 7 for 66 and a touchdown. That was in the first half. Devontae went 5 for 44. Still can't get no separation, so we got some back shoulder throws. Demario Douglas, their best receiver, I guess you could say, he went 3 for 33. Ezekiel Elliott caught 5 passes for 21 yards. And Mike Gesicki caught 1 pass for 7 yards. I mean, Tyquan Thornton, they drafted him in the first round out of Baylor. He hasn't done nothing in his career. He's been hurt or either not used. He went 1 for 5. And Farrell Brown caught 1 for 4. I mean, they passed for 180, like I said, total. This team is garbage. It's 3-11. Bill should get out of there, go to the Chargers, have a good quarterback. They should just blow this thing up. Kraft should look for an offensive-minded coach and a GM that'll actually draft some talent on the offensive side of the ball if he ever wants to get to Patriots greatness again. But shout out to the Chiefs getting, doing what they were supposed to do in Foxborough, winning that game to keep up with the rest of the AFC. Moving on to the late o'clock games. San Francisco beats Arizona 45-29. It wasn't particularly that close, but Kyler's still pretty good. He just doesn't have anybody to help him besides Trey McBride. Brock Purdy was efficient again. They go to 11-3, stay at the top of the NFC. 16 for 25, 242, 4 touchdowns, no picks, no sacks. Christian McCaffrey went 18 carries for 115 and a touchdown, just absolutely dominant. And then Christian McCaffrey went 5 for 72 and 2 touchdowns receiving. Just MVP. Non-quarterback wise, him and Tyreek, like I said. But the MVP of the league right now, as I know how the media is gonna be, and unless something crazy happens with Tyreek getting 2,000, I think it's gonna be It's gonna be Brock Purdy, and rightfully so. As a quarterback, I think that he's been the best this year and most accurate, best passer rating. I mean, you go down the list and it's him. He's averaging 11.8 yards a throw, a completion. Whether it's that's dink and dunk and Debo doing something, but he's throwing deep. I've seen him throw deep. He throws well on the run. They call him the mobile Drew Brees. I like that statement kind of because he's really accurate. He's a 70% completion percentage this year, which is insane. George Kittle went 2 for 54. Debo went 4 for 48 and 2 touchdowns, 1 running. On the end around, I believe he got an end around. Brandon Ayuk went 3 for 37. I mean, they can hit you with so many ways. So many ways, and they got that defense that is absolutely locked down. Charvarius Ward with 2 picks, including a pick 6. They got him from the Kansas City Chiefs after he won a Super Bowl. He might win a Super Bowl this year with the 49ers. Kyler Murray went 26 for 39, 211, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. He just no help. James Conner went 14 for 86. Amari Mercado got a touchdown late, 4 for 64. Kyler ran for 6 for 49. Michael Carter went 3 for 27. They ran for 234 yards, which is uncharacteristic of this San Francisco defense. But other than that, Trey McBride went 10 for 102. And then nobody else. 4 for 44 from Elijah Higgins. Who? Jeff Swain, 1 for 26. Who? Greg Dortch went 2 for 15. Rondell Moore went 2 for 5. I mean, Hollywood didn't even play this game. Arizona just needs Marvin Harrison Jr. Like I said, they just need another weapon for Kyler, a guy that he could trust at any time, any point, that he can go get and use his talents to the best of his ability. But shout out to the 49ers, still showing that they're the best team in the NFL. Moving on to Washington and the Rams. I picked the Rams. They won 28-20. It wasn't particularly that close either. They put in Jacoby Brissett, and he got him back within 8 points at the end. Sam Howell went 11 for 26. He got benched. He's still starting, supposedly, though. According to Ron Rivera, I think Ron Rivera will get fired at the end of the season as well. Chris Rodriguez, the rookie from Kentucky, got 10 carries, 35 yards. I believe he started this game. Yeah, I mean, there was nothing to write home about here. Terry McLaurin caught 6 for 141. That was nice that, Jacoby finally trusted his guy and, the best receiver on this team. Curtis Samuel went 5 for 41 and 2 touchdowns. Antonio Gibson went 5 for 20. Jahan went 1 for 12. They haven't used them all year. Shout out to the Rams, excuse me. Matthew Stafford, 25 for 33, 258, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Efficient. Kyron Williams, the second-year running back from Notre Dame. He looks absolutely dominant. Going for 152 on 27 carries, a touchdown, along of 27. I mean, they finally got a running back when they had like Todd Gurley. Not comparing Kyron Williams to Todd Gurley, but he has power, he has speed, he can break tackles, and he is a weapon for them. And I knew it when they drafted him last year that he was going to be a problem, because it was him and Kenneth Walker at the top of the draft board when it came to running backs. And yeah, he's showing out, coming back from injury. Cooper Kupp had another big game, 8 for 111 and a touchdown, along a 62. But he was by himself. It was a busted coverage. Puka won 5 for 50. Demarcus Robinson, shout out UF, 2 for 50, 2 for 44. Tyler Higbee, 4 for 36. It was a nice day for the Rams. They're a dangerous team if this offense keeps cooking with this running game. They're 7-7, still in the NFC playoff picture, in the NFC playoff picture. The defense is still playing well. They're still Aaron Donald and not much else, but they're playing okay. I think against the big teams, though, they will have problems, though, keeping them from scoring. But if the offense keeps playing like this, they're going to be a dangerous team to face. Moving on to the next game is Dallas losing, like I said, to the Bills, 31-10. This was not even close. It wasn't close. Dallas got absolutely rumbled by. Why do I say that? Because it's 31-10, and Josh Allen completed the ball 7 times and threw 15 times for 94 yards and a touchdown. That's it. This game was won on the ground by James Cook and Ty Johnson, but mostly James Cook, the brother of Dalvin Cook, is finally showing why he got drafted out of Georgia. The shiftiness, the vision, the speed. 25 carries for 179, a career high, and a touchdown, a long of 24, juking people left and right, dodging tackles, breaking tackles. It was amazing to see. This was literally the Bills saying, you are not strong enough to block, to penetrate our O-line. And that's what happened. They got ran out of the building. It was amazing to see. Dak went 21 for 34, 134, no touchdowns and a pick. It was horrible. This is what I said. I said that they will not let you down. They're not the people they think they are. Excuse me. They're not the team people the media thinks they were. Why? Because we've seen for the last 5 years, when it comes to a team that can bludgeon them in the running game, and that their offensive line cannot stop, and when you play from in front, that's what they do at home. They play from in front. You can hear, hey, here we go. Like, you can hear all of that. Well, guess what? On the road, especially in the Bills, you can't do that. And what happens? They get behind, and they try playing catch up, and he gets sacked 3 times for 28 yards. They had horrible penalties, unsportsmanlike conducts left and right. Tony Pollard went 11-52. They couldn't run the ball. They ran for 89 yards. CD went 7-53 on 10 targets. I mean, Jake Ferguson 6 for 44. Brandon Cooks 2 for 10. This team couldn't do nothing. It was 3-and-out city and punt city. And I loved watching it because this is what happens when you face an actual team with an actual quarterback. And even though the quarterback didn't do nothing this game, he still has some big throws to Stephon Diggs. He went 4 for 48, including a big one-hander on a 3rd down. James Cook went 2 for 42, including a long of 24 for a touchdown. So, that's what I mean. Dalton Kincaid didn't catch anything this game, which was bad for me because I had him starting in my fantasy. But, even they didn't do nothing but run the ball. Ran for 266 on the Cowboys. That is the way to win against them. They're going to have to go on the road in the playoffs, and they're not going to beat the Eagles again, I don't think. I think the Eagles will come buttoned up, and they're not going to beat the 49ers if they get past the Eagles. So I think the Cowboys are still the Cowgirls, and shout out to the Bills for showing them up. The Bills defense is playing well. McDermott has them playing well. Josh Allen is playing well. The running game finally is going into shape. Joe Brady finally, since Dorsey got fired, he saw that James Cook was a weapon that should be utilized, and that's why they drafted him last year. So very, very pleased with the Bills. They're 8-6, very, very much in the playoff hunt picture right now. They're a dangerous team, and look out. And that even goes for the Dolphins. So, but shout out to the Bills on getting a win. Next, Baltimore beats the Jaguars. The Jaguars at home, 23-7. And a little missed. This was the Lamar Jackson show. He went 14 for 24, 171, a touchdown and a pick, 3 sacks for 26 yards. But the plays that he did make, he rushed for 97 on 12 carries. Keaton Mitchell, before he tore his ACL, we received the news today, so hopefully he gets better for next year. He went 9 for 73. He was showing his speed. Gus Edwards went 16 for 58 and a touchdown. Even Justice Hill got 5 for 23. They ran for 251 yards. The defense had Trevor Lawrence in fits all game because he didn't know who was coming, who was not. Isaiah Likely went 5 for 70 and a touchdown, showing his athleticism. Rashad Bateman went 3 for 39. I mean, Odell only caught one ball for 14, and Zay Flowers caught 1 for 7, and they still won 23-7. This defense is absolutely legit. This is the best team in the AFC. And Lamar is my other MVP candidate. If it's not Brock Purdy, when we're talking about quarterbacks, I think Lamar, what he brings to this team, rushing, I mean, you can't defend him. He's dodging people left and right, making moves, throwing. I mean, the pass to Isaiah Likely to get the first down that he just threw up after almost getting sacked, it was amazing. I mean, Lamar is Lamar. As for the Jaguars, another disappointing 25 for 43, 264, a touchdown, no picks. Trevor did what he could, but he ran for 41. Travis Etienne went 10 for 31. They ran for 75 yards. They had no running game this game. And when your leading receivers, Jamal Agnew with 2 for 70 yards and Zay Jones 5 for 59, Calvin went 5 for 39. I believe that was a touchdown at the end of the game. They should have gave it to him, but even Gene Steratore said that it should have been a touchdown. They didn't overturn it after the challenge. No Christian Kirk hurts him a lot. Not having that safety valve. Lawrence lost 2 fumbles. They're going to be good, but at the same time, you're going to have these games against teams that have really good defenses. And when you don't have Christian Kirk, which is your safety valve at receiver, it's not going to be a fun day against that defense. So, and shout out to, Kyle Hamilton. I mean, he was a great pick last year in the first round out of Notre Dame. He's really showing out his length at the safety position and that star role in that defense. And this team is dangerous, man. The Jaguars still have a chance to win the division, but it's very much close with Indianapolis and the Texans now. So we'll see what happens going forward. So that was your Sunday slate and Thursday and Saturday slate. As for the picks tonight, we are looking at right here. I'm looking at Philadelphia at Seattle. And this game for me is kind of it's tough to pick. It's tough to pick because Seattle could always score and they're at home. But at the same time, I think that when you look at this Eagles team, I think they're going to come with a chip on their shoulder, coming off the loss to Dallas and the loss to the 49ers. I think that they're going to come with a chip on their shoulder, try to still be in the hunt for that number 1 seed. I'm going to go with the Eagles in this one. I think that Jalen Hurts has a good game. A.J. Brown has a good game, even though they have the Seahawks have good corners in Devon Witherspoon and Rick Woolen. I think that offensive line is just too much for that defensive line. I think Jalen will have enough time in the pocket to find A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. So I expect the Eagles to win this game. Seahawks might have a good game. DK might have a good game. Maybe JSN or Tyler Lockett, hopefully. DK has not a good game because I'm facing him in fantasy and I have Tyler and JSN going. We don't know if it's Geno. Supposedly it's going to be Drew. Jalen doesn't know if he's going to play yet. It would be Marcus Mariota. That would make it very interesting at that point. If it is Marcus Mariota, they would lean a lot more on DeAndre Swift in that running game. But I'm going to go with the Eagles. On the road, I believe they get it in Seattle and keep up with the 49ers and, stay one game ahead of the Dallas Cowboys in the division. Moving on since this is the Monday episode, I will give my picks for the next week on Thursday because we're making 2 episodes, so let's look at the playoff ladder as it stands right now. So as of right now, Baltimore is the only AFC team with the win yesterday to clinch a playoff spot. They're the 1 seed at 11-3. If they win out, they get the number 1 seed. Miami's number 2. If we win out, we get our division. We should clinch. Kansas City number 3. Jacksonville 4. Cleveland Browns 5, Bengals 6, and Indianapolis Colts 7. Okay? The Jacksonville Jaguar wins the tiebreak over Indianapolis and Houston based on head-to-head win percentage. So if they win out, they should get the division. The Cleveland Browns are at 5. Bengals. So basically, AFC North is 5 and 6, and you have the AFC South with the Indianapolis Colts at 7. Houston's at 8. Buffalo's at 9. Okay, I think Buffalo is on the rise, and I believe they will make the playoffs. Pittsburgh's out. Denver will be out. Las Vegas is out. Los Angeles will be out. And eliminated, we got Tennessee, the Jets, and New England. They're all eliminated. So I think it's between Cleveland, if they can win out, or they can at least stay there in the 5th seed. Cincinnati, if they can keep it going with Browning, and then Indianapolis with the Gardner Minshew magic. I believe Houston gets in, though, and knocks out Indianapolis because I believe in C.J. Stroud, and I believe Buffalo gets in and knocks the Bengals out. And I think we get Baltimore, Miami, Kansas City, Jacksonville, Cleveland, Houston, and the Bills. I think that's what we get. If we move on to the NFC, San Francisco has clinched a playoff spot and clinched their division by the win yesterday. Philadelphia, by the loss of the Dallas Cowboys, clinches a playoff spot and moves to the number 2 seed without even playing, because they had split against Dallas. So if they win out, they win the division and possibly have a chance at the number 1 seed. They have to win tonight. Hopefully Jalen Hurts goes. Detroit is still in line to try to get the number 1 seed, but they have to win out, and San Francisco has to slip up. They're at the 3 seed, but they haven't clinched a playoff berth yet. Tampa Bay is leading the NFC South, the tank division, at 7-7, and they're in the 4th seed. Dallas clinches a playoff spot even though they lost yesterday. They're at the 5th seed. Minnesota's in the 6th seed, and the Rams are in the 7th seed right now. They're all 7-7. New Orleans at number 8 is 7-7. Seattle, if they win today, will be 7-7. Atlanta, I believe they're out. They're at 6-8. Green Bay, I believe, is out. They're at 6-8. The Giants, 5-9, they're out. And, Chicago Bears, 5-9, they're out. No matter how percentage they say that they can get in. Washington's eliminated, Arizona's eliminated, and Carolina's eliminated. I think this stays pretty set. I think that Tampa Bay wins their division, so I think it goes San Francisco, Philadelphia, Detroit, Tampa. Dallas is already in at the 5th seed, and I think it goes Rams and Vikings. If not, it's going to go Rams, Saints. But I feel like Rams and Vikings is more apt for that for the playoffs. But that's what we got right now. We'll see what happens tonight. Thank you for all the support. I will be more active on the socials moving forward, especially on the Instagram. So be lookout for that, and on the TikTok. I love you guys. Thank you for all the support. And this has been El Boricua y El Parcero podcast. I'm El Velez, El Boricua. Love you guys. Dale.